Petal sounds are come, gum, come, num, chum, chum, jum, chum, nyam, chum, chum. These are the petal sounds. And then the middle four, middle four, and then the middle four, which is the yantra part. This upward pointing triangle placed opposite to a downward pointing triangle indicates hexagram. Hexagram has two meanings in this context. One is balance. An upward going energy is balanced by a downward pointing energy. So that means the person is balanced in this chakra. Balance comes to a person only when he is in harmony. The aspects of the chakra are love, compassion, innocence. Then you come to the vehicle of the main yantra. The vehicle is antelope, which is a spotted deer, highly sensitive, and the person who is in Anahata chakra behaves like an antelope, highly sensitive, very emotional person. Then that emotion may go beyond control. Like a little madness, you can continuously cry or laugh, or this can happen. But the highest form of its emotion is devotion. When you are allowing any emotion, this is very important, you can try out. When you are pushed by any emotion, maybe sorrow, maybe something, not the what you call strong negative emotion, all the simple emotions like joy. Then you entertain it for a little longer time, it takes you. And then when you become the observer of that, then that emotion cannot take you along with the emotion, but you understand the emotion. If you go along with that, maybe because you are not an observer, you may not be understanding the emotion, but you are being carried by the emotion. When you are carried by the emotion, you experience the emotion, but you are not understanding it properly. For that, one has to have the mind to observe the emotion. If it is not observing the emotion, without entertaining it, it will come. It starts to bubble, and then it takes you into a higher realm of emotion. This higher realm of emotion is devotion. Where your element, you as an individual is not there. That is how an emotion becomes devotion. If you become the enjoyer of the emotion, then you are subjected to the emotion, and then you are not understanding it because there is no observation in this. When you observe, you feel the full content of it, and then you leave that emotion. The other emotion carries you. When you start to leave the emotion with awareness, all emotions can transcend to its higher form, which is devotion. So this is the base of this Anahata chakra, is very highly devoted. Highly devoted. And then when a person is devotion, what happens is he surrenders. The idea of devotion or prayer, for example, is coming from surrender. Now you are watching it and you are not expecting any result of the emotion. You are simply observing. When you are observing an emotion simply, without expecting anything whatsoever that could come out of it, you are absolutely relaxed. That is how it becomes another form. It takes another form. So just staying there, you are being taken by this, but still you keep the observer on. When the observer is on, you see the full nature of the emotion. And when you get there, you get a different feeling that you started to wonder the intensity of the emotion that is kept in your little frail body. The emotion is much more higher and bigger than the body can contain. And then you start to feel that such a incredible energy which is kept inside your being by some great something, which is the intelligence or God or whatever, and you start to feel that, and then you become devotional. This is how the devotion comes in this chapter. If you are not an observer in this won't happen. You will be carried by that. That's why when an emotion comes, including anger is not an aspect of this chakra, it is Manipura chakra aspect. But say including anger, any emotion when it starts to pop up from within, it's highly important for the practitioner to stay as the observer of this, and then higher emotions like anger, and not higher emotions, strong emotions like anger, it subsides. And then it triggers some deeper feelings from within. Any small joy or maybe pain or sorrow, something when it comes to remain as the observer of it, then the sorrow cannot take you, but you remain as the observer of it, and then it starts to change. And you start to feel that this uncontainable thing is kept in your little body because the emotion is much more higher and bigger than the body could contain. When you start to see that stage, then you understand that it's like an incredible thing that you are carrying with you. And then you start to feel devotion for the plan of nature that has made you. Naturally you surrender. And this is actually how the emotion transforms into the world. I was saying the science behind it, you don't need to explore it that way, but it will come naturally, spontaneously. By simply being the observer of what is happening, by way of emotional observe or something, then it will transcend into devotion. Then devotion is an expression of love. Love towards a higher form. Love towards intelligence, who created all these things. That you can consider as God or whatever, which you want to name it. And so the aspect of love and compassion which is there as the main aspect of this chakra are coming in this room. And high sensitivity is there for the person in Anahata. Unless they have that sensitive nature, our other option is resorting to the intellect. We have crossed the intellectual realm in Manipura chakra, so we won't do it again. So Anahata chakra person is always an emotional person, and transcending the emotion to devotion as a surrendered person, and what he has is only prayer. Prayer comes from surrender. And you realize that you cannot do anything. You are not the owner of this, you have no control over anything. Something is working by the grace, and that feeling when it comes, you become very devotional, and you start to love the source that has created the whole plan, which is ununderstandable. So always there will be wonder. Any little thing, so practically when you see something, you will have a sharp observation of things, because that you have got from the third chakra, intellectual sharpness. So you start to see everything, but you are not doing that program that is there as the main program of Manipura chakra, which is analysis and synthesis. You cannot do it. That is stopped. So a major activity of your mind is settled. And when it settles, you are relieved. When you are relieved, you start to enjoy. Enjoy means celebrate. And this celebration is connected with the transcendence of emotion into devotion, and that triggers a big gratitude for your life, for having this life. Before it is suffering, always suffering small things. So the idea of creating the whole science of yoga is for the redemption from the suffering. So this is done not by manipulating the surrounding, but by understanding the seer who is witnessing oneself. And that's why the idea of seer is very, very important in yoga. And Patanjali also, Patanjali Maharshi has defined it. Yoga Siddha Vritti Nirodham. And when that is Nirodhajinikinna conditioning, what happens to you is, what will happen? The seer abide in itself. The seer, the witness, remain as the witness. And the darkness which he was saying is actually the seer. Between thoughts there is the seer. We have done that. And that is the seer. And seer simply stays as the seer. And then there is a possibility to see things holistically without analysis and synthesis. So when the analysis and synthesis stops, what happens is like a bubbling of emotions. So far the analysis and synthesis is on, our rational brain is working, thereby no bubbling of joy or emotion, including sorrow. Because the mind, sorrow will be also not growing when you are analyzing, because you are shifting your attention from experiencing the sorrow to analyze the sorrow. It's a nice device, I think, a plan. If you start to analyze, you are not anymore intensely experiencing your sorrow. So the mind immediately analyzes it so that you are not into it. So you can survive from the intensity of the emotion if it is a negative emotion. So it works in this way. So everything when you are looking, you can see there's a big miracle-like thing, wonder-like thing which is going on. Until that time, when our rational mind is working, this miracle or the wonder we won't see. Because we are triggering ourselves to do something else. And that is going down, that is happening in Manipura Chakra. When you are in this chakra, it is simple wonder, feeling like a small child, seeing the world. Continuously we are observing, we don't understand anything. But suddenly some feelings come. This is very much there. When you see the small little one, look at them smile. In the beginning, they don't smile. They are looking, and then suddenly they smile. What they understand, we don't know, because some identity, something is happening that it triggers joy. And then after some time living in this world as we are living, certainly this kind of joy is not anymore there. We cannot smile personally. If we simply sit and smile, people will say that you are mad. It is a symbol of madness, simply smiling. Children are and we get joy. When you look at this body being and it smiles, then you also smile. You are doing something. ഇത് നമുക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല. അതിനെ കാണുമ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ കൂടെ ചെയ്യും. അപ്പം അതാണ് ഇതിനകത്ത് ഭയങ്കര മാഗ്നറ്റിക് സാധനം. ഈ റാഷണൽ സിസ്റ്റത്തിനെ ചുമ്മാ നോക്കിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്ന നമ്മൾ എൻ്റർ ഇൻ എ കംപ്ലീറ്റ്ലി ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ് ഫീൽഡ് which has nothing to do with anything that is governed by the first chakra, second chakra and third chakra. There is no business, there is no transactions as we are doing, bargaining. You give something, I love you. If you don't give, no. Stop. If you come to visit me with a lot of banana, good, love you. If you come one day without banana, banana love. Bargaining. It's how human mind is really. We have this great possibility, and that possibility started to unleash in Anahata. So when you are there, you see there is a music which is happening from within all the time, like a humming, which is the background of the movement of universe. Anahata means unstricken. Unstricken, you are striking, creating the sound. So there is an unstricken sound in this chakra, which is not created by you by a striking on something, but it is always there, which is the sound of revolution. Because almost all the celestial bodies, as we know, they somehow take the circular movement. And the circular movement creates a sound. That sound is the like Om, they say. And when you say the sound Om, you see at the last part, that is ending in the silence. And the ending shrill silent sound, which is called the Anahata, always there. And this particular sound is heard by the practitioner, and that is the reason why this chakra is called Anahata, unstricken. Noise is there. When once you, it's a practical thing, once you start to hear the sound, sometimes we hear when you go into a very silent place where there is no other sound pollution, sometimes you, like a pressure variation, something, you start it. Something starts. It is similar, but the Anahata is something similar to that. Some corners of every house you can hear. Because it is not there in the corner, of some reason your ear becomes very sensitive to hear this unstricken sound. And when once you listen to the unstricken sound, you are gripped by that. Meditation takes place by itself. So that is the reason why this chakra is called Anahata. Then we have the feminine deity, Kakini, her name. And she has the skull in the bottom left hand, which indicates detachment with the material things. Naturally it comes because you understood that this attachment with the material things of the first chakra, which is wealth, money, property, food, all these things, with a natural detachment. And then it starts to come to you, you receive it. But you are not going to make it. And that is not happening. And the person is detached. And that detachment is shown by the skull. Then, the other hand, she is on the right bottom hand, she is keeping the trident, which is indicating the three principles. Everywhere trident is coming, it shows the three principles of creation, existence and withdrawal. And more you start to see, now the masculine deity and the feminine deity have the trident. In your consciousness and in your awareness, this idea is firmly rooted. Now, when you get into Anahata Chakra, that I came here, I am here, one day I will go back. There is nothing permanent here. It's just like a shifting movement. I came, I am here, tomorrow I will not be here. And that realization comes to the awareness as well as the consciousness. The consciousness knows it, but awareness starts to know it. Feminine deity represents the awareness, masculine deity represents the consciousness. And then the sword and the shield. So the nature is, when a person is there, he is very natural. He starts to hear the basic movement of nature, which is also represented by the sound, and that is going on. And so he understands that he don't need to manipulate it, it is there. And then the only possibility for him is just observe it and surrender. And that is actually the shield of observation in this chakra. It has this idea to actually not fighting back but just protecting with observation. Observing the basic principles that govern the nature, and nature exists and continue its activity not based on rationality but based on emotion. All the animals when they are born, you can see the emotional content there, and that is actually bringing up all the creations in this world. It is not how to move, how to do these things, that is not. As soon as the child comes into the world, the mother starts to feel love, and the child starts to feel love back to the mother. So our existence is based on this kind of feeling, and that feeling is love, and that is the basic feeling. That's why this chakra is having it at its aspect, love. When a person who is staying in Anahata chakra is very, very compassionate, and that compassionate person, he has the will which is there with him, not for cutting off obstacles, but the will to surrender. You need a will to surrender, otherwise the old traits will come back. So when the old traits, some shadows will be there, which is brought with you all the way, even to Anahata chakra. You will not fall back to the earlier position, but still the remains are there, and that needs to be, when it is coming up to take you down, then be vigilant. You observe and then you apply your will. Here the will is the will to surrender. Surrender to the cosmic will. And then it works. So these are very beautiful principles, but a person needs to remember this and slowly start to work. It's not that easy. It's very difficult in this way. How can we can say we can surrender, but then the actual thing comes, we may not be able to surrender. Somebody says some ugly things to you, I'll teach you, or we will put you down. Then we know it's just nature's play, okay. It's not possible. So you respond immediately. Even when you are in the heart chakra, it can happen. So you need to observe this and then surrender. And pray for the will to surrender. So slightly different from, not slightly, it's basically different from the sword and the shield or the earlier chakras. And that is the feminine deity, and the masculine deity is Rudra Shiva, and he has the drum and the kite. So in this chakra, everything, all the teachings are coming from your heart. That will be depicted again there, I will explain that. But the observer, the person who is the practitioner, and he is observing every change that happens in your what you call inner world, like it is droning all the time. If a small conflicting thing comes, it drones. If a beautiful thing, it drones accordingly. If love comes, it drones accordingly. And so this needs to be washed. What sort of rhythm it is playing inside. As you are focusing your attention to the body rhythm, the mental rhythm, then you will naturally calm down. All the passion that you have had will be brought under control. That is shown by the serpents, which are like wearing, which are there in the body of Lord Shiva, and he is using it as ornaments. The passion that we have in the base chakra for food security and shelter, second chakra for sex, family, and imagination, creativity and all, and third chakra for intellectual dominance. All these are passions on different levels, and this passion is brought under control. And that is shown by the serpents which are around his body. And then he is seated on dispassion. Dispassion is the tiger skin. And then there is something else in this chakra. A lot of things are there in this chakra. In this chakra there is another deity who is sitting there, and then a masculine deity on the top. This is Kundalini. We have seen Kundalini in the first chakra. In the first chakra there is a spear and the serpent. Spear represents the consciousness, the serpent represents the awareness. That we have seen. And that spear is what you see here. In Kundalini, in the base chakra, you have a spear. And that is really projected here. It has become so big now. The consciousness of the person has expanded, and that is taking shape as a deity, which is Lordship. Then the awareness, which was like a serpent, which came out from within the downward pointing triangle. You have seen the downward pointing triangle, and it is reversing and it is looking upward now. In the first chakra, your energies, your mental energy, physical energy, and balancing energies are looking downward, earthly. And here it is pointing heavenly, upward. And then the serpent is transformed into a benevolent deity. This is Kundalini. The other was a serpent. This figure, this is Kundalini. Now the serpent has transformed into a very beautiful deity, because now you are not passionate for the lower forms of things, but she is looking, and she remains as the nature itself. Awareness transforms into a benevolent deity, and this deity is in manifested form. That Kundalini is the power of awareness, and this person in Anahata Chakra is a very, very natural, surrendered person. And he has the confidence to see that everything will be looked at. He is not going to play around for protecting himself, for achieving things, for creating things. So he don't have that burden anymore. And things happen. Actually, when you are looking, if you are not lazy, everything will happen. Because you are working. In any yoga, you are not simply idling. You are gone working. All the time you are working something which is essential. No yogi is lazy. Either they are working inside or they are gone working something outside. Very rooted in their inner core. And that is the speciality of a person with awareness. He is aware what is going on, whether he is plowing or whether he is doing something else or meditating, doesn't matter. His mind is focused and surrendered. And that kind of a person is very beautiful, because he is not going to disturb the world at all. He has a harmony that he is not going to challenge or alter the normal rhythm of living. A lot of ideals you can attach with that, because it is such a beautiful phase whereby you are not anymore possessive. You are a surrendered being. Everything comes. You are confident, and you are very beautiful because you are not at all selfish. If you are not selfish, the whole world belongs to you. If you are not possessive, the whole world belongs to you. It doesn't mean that you are not working. Simply sitting there, everything will come to me. Nothing will come. You will start to learn. Sure. Yeah. When I was looking into my life, when I was just simply sitting, exploring myself, it was hard at the time. When I left my job, and then I concentrating on understanding but not doing anything. It was very, very hard. Nothing comes. And then I changed my attitude. I started continuously working, something, getting some water, cleaning or pouring some water for plants, or tendering and taking care of the plants around me. And I got a little joy in doing this. And then the nature is really started to shower things on me. So I have understood the principle that For myself, I have understood the principle that if you are really dynamic and then not hesitant to work, anything, maybe it's grooming, sweeping, scavenging or whatever, or maybe big things, beautiful things, something we need to do. If we are in the wheel of dynamism, certainly it is the responsibility of nature to see that something comes to you. And any work, we can do any work. Maybe you can do cinema, or you can do your computer, or you can do anything. So the quality of the person changes because it's the status, the social position. No, nothing. You are in the wheel of dynamic action, and then whatever is coming is your job. And there is no status, there is nothing like that. And then everything works. The work which you are doing will become so powerful for you, and you make it happen in no time because of the focus. And things starts to change in the world around you, and things are being taken care of. If you are lazy, nothing works. Because in olden times, it is not the job that makes you survive. Thinking that if you throw away your job, you will starve, for sure. I have done it's very hard. Okay, I'm spiritual. I want to leave my job. I did it. And then it's so tough. So tough. Nothing comes. Because you're simply sitting as an explorer. You're not doing anything. You're not even carrying any other thing in this world. How can you get something for you if you are not carrying the world? Nothing comes. You will simply start. And so, that was an experiment I did. At the time I had to do that, and I did it, and then I suffered it quite a lot. And have you ever experienced the pain of hunger? How lucky you are. Yeah, maybe our parents have done it, or maybe our job has contributed to it. Suppose if we don't get food. But there is no condition like that. We will get food, but we have no choice, that's the thing. The choice of food which you are looking for may not come, but you get something. Then when it comes to you, you understand what is hunger. And when you look at the eyes of a person, you can feel whether the person is hungry or not. And when you recognize that we never see people. We never see anybody. We have some intention, with that intention we look at that person. So something will be responded, and that's the person comes. Always it is like that. But there is a possibility for us to see the world outside us as part of us by really simply looking with no intentions. It's very difficult to do like that because we are trained to look with some motives. And so with that motive, if you go for sannyas and you wait for your food, you will not get anything. You will starve and you get really angry, and the anger will kill you. Real terrible sensation. Your eyes starts to deflect like this. You're looking somewhere for something. And stomach will be really paining, excruciating pain for your belly. And then once you understand this, you don't need to understand what I'm saying. If you happen to understand this, then when you are going through the street, if you happen to see a person sitting near the street and really deflected, his eyes are deflected, they're really painful, you see, no way for you. You have no chance. If you have money, the money goes to you. Food. There are people, we all have this trait. We are not just simply eating for ourselves. If there is something, we certainly give to the hungry one. But to identify the hungry, you need to experience something. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ വല്ലപ്പോഴും ഒക്കെ നിങ്ങൾ പുണ്യം കിട്ടും, നല്ല ഭർത്താവിനെ കിട്ടും, തിങ്കളാഴ്ച വ്രതം എടുത്താൽ മതി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് പട്ടിണിക്കില്ല. തിങ്കളാഴ്ച വ്രതം എടുത്ത് നല്ല ഭർത്താവിനെ കിട്ടും. കിടന്ന് രാവിലെ മുതൽ വൈകുന്നേരം ആകുമ്പോൾ അറിയാം എന്താണ് അഹങ്കാരം. ആദ്യം കിടക്കുമ്പോൾ ഛർദ്ദിക്കാനൊക്കെ വരും, വൈകുന്നേരം ആകുമ്പോൾ ഛർദ്ദിക്കണം. ഛർദ്ദിച്ചോണ്ടിരിക്കുമ്പോഴായിരിക്കും പെണ്ണ് കാണാൻ വരുന്നത്. അതോടുകൂടി ആ ഭർത്താവ് പോയി കിട്ടും. അപ്പം ഇതൊക്കെ ഈ സിസ്റ്റമൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ ഉണ്ടാക്കി വെച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പം നമുക്ക് നമ്മുടെ കയ്യിലിപ്പോൾ എല്ലാം ഉണ്ട്. നമ്മളൊന്ന് വാൾട്ടർ ചെയ്ത് നോക്കാം, നമുക്ക് എങ്ങനെ ഇരിക്കുന്നു ഈ സെൻസേഷൻ എന്ന് അറിയാനായിട്ട്. അത് സിംപ്ലി ഫോർ നോട്ട് ഫോർ നോയിങ്, സിംപ്ലി നോട്ട് ഓൺലി ഫോർ നോയിങ്, but being part of the society, to recognize the society, the feeling of the people around us, the beings around us. അത് നമുക്ക് വരത്തില്ല. നമ്മുടെ കൂട്ടത്തിൽ ഒരാളുണ്ട്, നിങ്ങളെല്ലാവരും ജനറസ് ആണെന്ന് എനിക്കറിയാം. ഇങ്ങനെ ഞാൻ പറയാം, നമ്മുടെ കൂട്ടത്തിൽ ഒരാളുണ്ട്, ഇത് നമ്മുടെ വിജയ്. ഇവിടെ ഭക്ഷണം ആദ്യം വരാൻ വേണ്ടി കാത്തിരിക്കുക. അധികം ഭക്ഷണം വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഉടനെ കെട്ടിയെടുത്ത് നേരെ വണ്ടിയൊക്കെ എടുത്ത് കൊണ്ടുപോയി ഇങ്ങനെ റോഡിൽ കൂടെ എല്ലാം പോയി അവസാനം ഈ സ്റ്റോട്ടിൽ ആ വളവിലെടുത്തിരിക്കും. നോക്കുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും കുറച്ച് ചുവന്നിരിക്കുകയാണ് കണ്ണെല്ലാം കൂടെ മോളിൽ പ്രാവി വെള്ളം കൊടുക്കുന്നത് ഉണ്ടാക്കി കൊടുക്കും. അപ്പം അവൻ വാങ്ങിക്കുന്നൊരു സീനുണ്ട്. അങ്ങനെ സീനുണ്ട്. പെട്ടുമാണ് സീൻ, പെട്ടുപോയി. അത് നമ്മൾ മനുഷ്യൻ പറഞ്ഞ് നടക്കുകയാണ്. അവിടെ നമ്മളിരിക്കുന്ന മനുഷ്യനെ നമുക്ക് കാണാൻ പറ്റും. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ചിലപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ അറിയത്തേയില്ല. മനുഷ്യനൊക്കെ പോയി ഉടനെ മൃഗമാകുകയാണ്. ഇരിക്കുന്ന എന്ത് അതാ ജോലി ചെയ്ത് തിന്നൂടെ. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ ധൃതിയായിട്ട് പോകുമ്പോൾ പിന്നെ അവിടെ ഒന്ന് സ്ലോ ചെയ്ത് ബാക്കി എല്ലാവർക്കും കൊടുക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. ധൃതി മറ്റങ്ങനെയല്ല, നമ്മൾ ഹൈലി സെൻസിറ്റീവ് ആയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അവിടെ നമ്മൾ മുന്നോട്ട് പോയാൽ നമ്മൾ അങ്ങോട്ട് പോകുമ്പോൾ ചത്തുപോകും. ഉള്ളിലെ ഒരു വേദന കൊണ്ട് ചത്തുപോകും. അത്ര സെൻസിറ്റീവാകും. ഈ നേച്ചർ ഓഫ് ദ പേഴ്സൺ ഇൻ അനാഹത ചക്ര ഈസ് top most sensitive person, that he cannot do wrong. He cannot behave insensitive. Otherwise, opportunity to see this person when you give something and the person is looking at you like as if he is seeing the law, showering something. അത് ഭയങ്കര സംഭവം. അപ്പം അങ്ങനെ ആളുടെ ക്വാളിറ്റിയെ മാറും. അതൊക്കെ നല്ല കാര്യമാണ്. ഇത് നമുക്ക് അറിയാൻ പറ്റില്ല എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ പോകും. And then this is the Kundalini, which is very benevolent, very nature itself. Kundalini in Anahata Chakra is the most beautiful deity that is transformed from the passionate serpent, looking for our own welfare, our own comfort, our own food, our own security. From there, little open in the second chakra for having a little society around with conditions. And conditions are, if you behave according to what I dictate, you can live with me. Otherwise, no. 2 years divorce. അപ്പം അതെല്ലാം മാറി നമ്മൾ അതിനകത്ത് ഇങ്ങനെ നിൽക്കാം. അപ്പോൾ എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ കോൺഷ്യസ്നെസ് വിച്ച് വാസ് ദ ശിവലിംഗം, ലിംഗ ആത്മലിംഗം വിച്ച് വാസ് ദർ in the waist chakra, which is coming out of it. It is growing and excelling. It was in a cage in the beginning and now it came out, and then the linga grows so big. And there you can see the our consciousness have really growing. And the awareness, which is serpent, consciousness, which is the linga, and both are now having separate identity. Earlier also separate identity was, but it is benevolent, and then they are separating. Your consciousness is something, and your awareness is something. Now the consciousness is slowing, the awareness is slowly going to merge with the awareness. Awareness is slowly going to establish union with the consciousness, for us showing that the separation has shown. Before everything was a mix. We don't know what is consciousness, we don't know what is awareness, but we live our life. And then when you are growing, and this will be separated, and that gives the room for a union. And then in this chakra, there is something which you have not seen in other chakra, which is this 8-petaled, there is an 8-petaled lotus. And in the lotus there is a heart. See, there is a small heart on top. And that indicates the sensitive nature of the person in Anahata chakra. And person becomes so highly sensitive. And so when a highly sensitive person, he can not do wrong. Conflicting things he cannot do. Any little thing that passes near him, or whatever is falling in his eyes, he started to see the beauty in every little thing. Becomes so highly sensitive and getting into an ecstasy by simple vision of the nature. Before, that same nature is here, but we have not seen. So our vision comes from our nature. Our nature, if you are sensitive, it will be different. If you are stubborn, it will be different. If you are passionate, it will be different. If you are highly intellectual, rationalizing everything, your nature will be different. If you are in a devotional plan, whatever you are seeing is a cause of devotion, surrender and devotion. And that kind of a sensitive nature is kept here as your heart now. Before we have a pump, now heart is a pump, and now the heart is the seat of emotions and sensitivity. And so by looking at the heart, if you wanted to do something which is actually detrimental to the nature or to people or to animals or the surrounding, certainly it draws. It changes its rhythm. And when the rhythm, the emotional rhythm, can be by changing the movement of your heart, or it may be pushing like emotions. And then you understand that, no, I cannot go that direction. I have to go properly in the natural way. And you are being completely guided by this heart. This heart is called Guru Hridaya. So Guru is really the one who is directing you to go where to go is the master. And that is there inside your own heart. And the God, the Guru starts to manifest inside you by its own language, and that is the language of your heart, emotion. And then you become highly sensitive, and it continuously says what to do, what not to do. Also you are protected by the master. This is the master heart, which is called Guru Hridaya, which is a special thing which is depicted in Anahata Chakra. Then you have a guide. That is your own inner Guru, and that you are protected. Then no more fall, only going further forward. These are the ideas which are kept. And then there is the Bija Mantra, and the Bija Mantra is Yam. Yam. When you do the sound Yam, what happens? Ya, see, look, ya, ya, ya. Your tongue withdraws. The tongue withdraws and it gives space, expansion, and then you rest there. In the first chakra, Lam, it makes the square and unleash one side. The second chakra, Vam, will become flexible. The third chakra, Ram, which is fiery in its nature, sharp and fiery. In the fourth chakra, when you get, you are going to expand. You are withdrawing your tongue. No unnecessary dialogue. You are communicating not with dialogue, but with feeling to the nature. It's a big change, if that possibility is there. So you become highly alert and relaxed and feeling the nature around you. And you communicate with everything. Very receptive and very communicative person. Not verbally, with feelings. And this is called the master heart, which dictates your journey. These are the ideas of Anahata. Yam, withdrawn and expanding the space with it. This is the idea of Anahata. Kam, kham, gam, kham, ngam, cham, cham, jam, cham, nyam, tam, tam. Then the Bija Mantra Yam. So you can go and